Fulham lost all composure and received 3 red cards in 60 seconds against Manchester United, which resulted in their exit from the FA Cup. The Cottagers had 1 foot in the tournament's semi-final with less than 20 minutes to go, leading 1-0, until Willen's red card sparked a shocking meltdown from the London side. The Brazilian handled the ball to prevent Jadon Sancho from scoring, and was sent off for doing so. His red card was preceded by boss Marco Sleva, who was given his marching orders for encroaching on ref Chris Kavanagh while he checked Willen's contravention, and they were followed down the tunnel shortly after by a fuming Aleksandar Mitrovic, who furiously remonstrated with the match official before storming away. And Fulham's downfall was complete when United took advantage of the player deficit by scoring 3 goals in quick succession to win the quarter-final tie 3-1. But the Cottagers aren't the only side who've been clouded by red mist and engineered their own demise. Here, examines some of the biggest meltdowns in football, ranging from mis-squandered title attempt to in-house fighting between Newcastle players on the pitch. Could see the Premier League title on the horizon as they went up 2-0 against Chelsea in the 2015-16 season. But the Lily Whites bottled it in the second half when the Blues levelled the scores. The pressure was clearly getting to Spurs, who received a total of 9 yellow cards amid touchline spats and mass brawls as the game progressed. They were unable to get their heads back in the game, effectively handing Leicester City the title. It was the last time Spurs mounted a challenge for the prize, a point that was highlighted by current boss Antonio Conte during his rant last week. Passionate exchanges against opposition teams is understandable, but fighting with teammates is unforgivable. But that didn't stop Newcastle stars Kieran Dyer and Lee Boyer from brawling when the Magpies lost 3-0 to Aston Villa in 2005. The pair went sent off for their moment of madness, as was compatriot Stephen Taylor for a handball offence, leaving the Magpies with 8 men on the pitch. It was a forgettable moment for Bowyer, who once recalled, "It was a moment of madness. Everybody regretted it, but we are winners. I'm sure if we'd been winning 3-0 it would never have happened." Kieran's a nice lad and I still see him. I saw him at Bobby Robson's golf day and we had a beer and a laugh. 5 players were sent off during Bristol's match against Wigan in 1997. 4 of the perpetrators played. David Pritchard, Jason Perry, Andy Tilson, and Josh Lowe, played for Bristol, and one of the culprits, Graham Jones, belonged to Wigan. A melee broke out between the teams during a goalmouth scramble where the bulk of the dismissals took place. And tensions were so palpable, Rovers ace Perry and Wigan star Jones had to be separated by teammates as they marched off the pitch in fits of rage. Wigan capitalised off of the chaos and won the match 3-0 in the end. A Spanish league record of 6 red cards in one game was dished out during Barcelona and Espanyol's ill-tempered clash in 2003. Each side received 3 red cards apiece in the match. 3 was the magic number as Barca went on to win the game by the recurring figure, with Espanyol pegging back a single goal. But unlike what happens in most games with a high volume of red cards, none of the dismissals were the result of a mass brawl, and instead stemmed from individual incidents. There's no love lost between bitter Turkish rivals Fenerbahce and Galatasaray. So it's no surprise that 4 red cards were dished out to Galatasaray players when the sides met in 2002. In the game Fenerbahce won 1-0. And it wouldn't be the last time the two sides showed their utter disdain for each other, as the same amount of reds got brandished when they clashed in a cup and league game in the 2007-08 season. Then violence reared its ugly once again in 2012 during a tense match that saw 2 reds and 14 yellows given out. Another red was brandished when the Super League foes met in January, but this time only one player was given his marching orders. The infamous Battle of Bramall Lane saw Sheffield United's match against West Brom abandoned due to a lack of players left on the pitch. The Blades were down to just 6 men following the dismissals of 3 players and injury to another 2, giving the ref no option but to call time on the game with 8 minutes left on the clock. Shocking scenes saw Blades goalie Simon Tracy sent off for handling the ball outside the area, and subs Jorge Santos and Patrick Suffo handed red cards despite being on the pitch for less than a minute. It's a feat that's yet to be repeated in English football. And then United captain Keith Correll explained what the feeling was like in the dressing room after the match. He told The Sun, "When you look back on it now, it's surreal. It was farcical. In the dressing room after there was just sheer disbelief about what had happened." But the Bramall Lane farce has got nothing on what happened during a match in Brazil where 10 red cards were brandished in 2018. A brawl broke out between Vitória and Bahia players when the latter decided to taunt the former's fans with a crude goal celebration that imitated a sex act. The celebration was enough to spark carnage, and both sets of players traded blows for 16 minutes before order was restored. And in that time, the ref dished out 10 red cards which did little to stop the players from scrapping.